What's good, Hoopers? Are you interested in increasing your vertical jump? Have you considered whether you should be doing double leg or single leg jumps? What's more important? What's more optimal? Should you be doing both? In today's video, we're going to go over theories and most recent research on bilateral versus unilateral plyometric training. So stay tuned. I think you'll like what we got for you. My name is Gabe Ignacio, Doctor of Physical Therapy and Board Certified Orthopedic Clinical Specialist, and co-founder of Basketball Doctors alongside with Dr. Marco Lopez. And our goal at the Basketball Doctors is to provide evidence-based information on all things basketball related to rehab and sports performance. Again, this is all for educational purposes, not medical advice. If you do need medical advice, please seek out a local healthcare provider, reach out to us and see if we can help you. And for today's topic, we're going to dive into plyometric training, whether unilateral, bilateral plyometric training is more efficient, and what's kind of benefit of each one. All right, so there's been research coming out lately that's been comparing bilateral or double leg versus unilateral or single leg plyometric training, and they looked at different outcomes. So the primary outcomes that they looked at was counter movement jump, both double leg and single leg, depth jump, max isometric strength, max force production, and then rate of force development. So those are the main categories that the research has been looking at and comparing double leg and single leg activities of jump training. What you'll notice is that research supports that no matter which training you do, the outcomes of all across the board will improve. So plyometric training in general will be sufficient in improving your jump mechanics and jumping and meeting all those outcome measures. But what they've noticed is that there are some advantages to unilateral training over bilateral training. So what they saw for double leg counter movement jump is that it's similar side to side. But what it did on top of that was when they measured unilateral or single leg counter movement jump, double leg counter movement training didn't make any difference versus the unilateral training had a significant difference. And then on top of that, when they checked on max isometric strength, bilateral didn't change in comparison to the other group, but then unilateral training had a 2x fold increase in comparison to the bilateral training. A big thing that they noticed in research is that something they call bilateral deficit strength index. So that means that if you take the sum of one leg, so saying like you're doing a leg extension, like you're extending out your knee as hard as you can, your right leg and left leg by itself will come out with a number, let's just say 200 pounds or whatever. And then you do a bilateral, what they notice is that when you do both legs at the same time, it's actually weaker in comparison to the sum of two. So saying if you add up your right and left, it adds up to 400. Maybe with both legs, you only get to 300. And what they found with, no matter with the bilateral training is that, and unilateral training is that bilateral deficit never corrected. So for example, another one is like when you squat, when you do a double leg back squat with the barbell, you might be able to squat 225. And then when you do like a split squat with the bar on your back, you might be able to do like 135. And if you add those both up, it's more than 225. So that's what they mean by a bilateral strength deficit. They found that maybe doing some unilateral training will actually allow you to load more. And that's why they translate it into plyometric training, where you're actually able to produce more force with one leg at a time rather than doing both legs at the same time. So that's where you can kind of see what the difference is in terms of bilateral versus unilateral training. So the practical application with this is that if you're really short on time and you don't have the time to do both bilateral and unilateral training, maybe doing single leg jumping might be more beneficial and more efficient for you. For us personally, we love doing both just because with basketball, there is some sport specificity to double leg jumping versus single leg jumping, like when you're going up for rebound, doing an approach jump, whether you're a 2-foot jumper, 1-foot jumper, wherever you feel more explosive. But for basketball, you want to be good at both. So that's why for us personally, when we program and we train athletes, we typically do both unilateral and bilateral training. I mean, it's kind of up to you what you want to do. Some examples of this is like a counter movement jump, both double leg, single leg, box jumps, both double leg, single leg, approach jump, depth jumps, things like that, hurdle jumps, both single and double leg. So that's kind of a good way to kind of implement both bilateral and unilateral training, but research supports unilateral training over bilateral training based on the outcomes. But like I said, there is a sport specificity training component to it, so it's kind of up to you and who you work with and kind of their philosophy with that. All right, we're gonna go over quickly some examples of some jumps that you can do. So just a normal double leg counter movement box jump. And here we got a counter movement single leg box jump. Trying to get as explosive as you can, attack the ground and explode up. Moving on from there, we got a normal double leg counter movement jump, start up high, attack the ground, explode up, and then we'll do single leg as well. Again, trying to be as explosive as you can, work on your coordination, explode up as high as you can, and always land with good mechanics. Next, we have a double leg depth jump. So here, really trying to get explosive as you can and trying to shorten the amount of contact that you have with the ground. So trying to get as quickly as you can off the ground. Next, we have a more horizontal jump, double leg. We got a broad jump here, one jump at a time, attack the ground, explode out, and we're going to do single leg as well. I hope you enjoyed that video on information regarding double leg versus single leg plyometric training. If you liked and learned something valuable, please like, subscribe, comment, share with your family and friends to help us grow and reach more hoopers. Again, we are the Basketball Doctors. Let's ball for life.